Welcome to the Texas Oil and Gas Podcast, the show dedicated to bring you the news from the oil patch deep in the heart of Texas, with your host, Ryan Ray and Josh Shelton.
Podcast. We appreciate you tuning in to today's episode. This is episode 223. Episode 223. I'm your host, Josh Shelton, my friend and co-host Ryan Ray. Ryan, any more one-star reviews this week?
Hold on. This is 224. This is why we're getting one-star reviews. This is 224. You caught me.
Hey, look.
What you got? What you got? You got this stuff on the screen.
That's my sunshades. Yeah. So,
24.
It's 224. Okay, well, listen.
Why are you trying to relive last week when we got a one-star? Like, why are you trying to start the show off like that?
Well, Democrats can't count ballots, for example. So, I'm kidding. I'm just joking.
We all know Josh is a lefty, so there you go. We got a 5-star this week, though. You know, and someone, it was funny. Someone last week was saying something about the 1-star review, and I said, here's the deal. If you listen to the show right now and you like the show and you don't leave a 5-star, then when you get mad, don't leave a 1-star. Now, if you leave a 5-star and you change it to a 1-star, at least I can respect that. Like you've shifted your opinion. That's fine, but don't go from a nothing to a 1. Don't be a commie. Only commies do that. But speaking of this, we do have a 5-star review from one of our more intelligent listeners. Best oil and gas podcast in Texas and everywhere else. Josh's phone's ringing. So, see, Josh, I think you want the 1-stars. That's what I think. I think you're trying to bring more 1-stars on this podcast. Are you here to sabotage us, Josh?
I'm not. I got it turned on vibrate, but it's
okay. We'll read this 5-star while you're figuring that out. This show is informative and entertaining. The hosts are knowledgeable about the industry and cover a wide array of relevant issues. These guys are my go-to source for info to make my boss think I know what is going on in the oil field. That is from Steph Z. Thank you, Steph. We appreciate it as always. Always love our 5-star review people. The 1-star, not so much. Not a lot of love for those. Josh, we also have a new sponsor. So if you're out there and your energy bill, you're looking for wholesale energy because you need to get a little cheaper. You're trying to figure out ways to craft your energy plan a little better. We have a link for you, and all you got to do is go. This is for Texas. This is for New Mexico, Florida, all over the country. There's all kinds of places. So anyways, we'll link to it in the show notes. It just takes a few minutes to see if our plan, it's not our plan, but the plan can reduce your energy costs. Josh, I know you and your mansion over there could probably use wholesale energy prices this time of year. So maybe you should check it out as well.
Easy, Joe. Don't give any credence to Brian over here. Just ignore him.
Hey, listen, according to the Biden administration, stuff like this doesn't cost money. So
it reduces inflation. Yeah. All right, Ryan. So jumping into a couple of things that we want to cover this week. So oil industry helped handpick members of Texas advisory group for electric grid reliability. So this article is about some emails that basically people have been going through, and what it shows is that oil industry picked some members of the Texas Advisory Group, and I guess some people have a problem with this. In light of some of the talks that have been going on with the electric grid, with the power outage last year, with potential shortages of energy this year, I thought this was a good topic to consider. I wonder where we're at. ERCOT. I wonder where they're at with winterizing these facilities, and if we should expect something similar this year.
Well, first off, Joe, thank you for pointing out that Josh is up to no good. So it's good to see our listeners are in tune with the show here. Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things where, so this is from the Texas Tribune. We're not talking about leanings on this podcast, I guess, but whatever. Oil and gas industry has had heavy hand in choosing representatives to serve on council intended to ensure energy and electricity operations continue during extreme weather. Okay. This is emails provided to the Texas Tribune and confirmed by the Texas Railroad Commission. Okay. Well, so that could be factual. Nothing wrong with that. doesn't mean it's good or bad. There's a separate issue. They're all together, right? So regardless of who influenced these people, it's whether or not we'll have they're effective at doing the job. So it says that an email provided to the Tribune shows that the Texas Oil and Gas Association, one of the most influential oil and gas industry groups in Texas, not nearly as influential as the Texas Oil and Gas Podcast.
No.
I feel slighted, Tribune. I feel slighted. Like they're like no one knows who they are compared to us, but whatever. Provided a list of names to the Railroad Commission's executive director for appointment to the council in August. Okay, so they're saying that the Texas Oil and Gas Association did this. So I don't know, man. Like this is just politics 101.
Yeah.
Right? So is it shocking? No. Does it mean they're bad? Maybe. I mean, not necessarily. Maybe they're bad, maybe they're not. I don't know. To me, these stories are like, this is just how the sausage is made. This isn't a right or left issue. This is just, I'm sure for when they go to, some renewable council, they're not going to the Railroad Commission necessarily for that. They're probably going to some people for that. So I don't know. I don't know. What do you think? To me, it's just, this is just, water's wet kind of story.
Yeah, I looked at it. I mean, I think what they're trying to do is paint any opportunity they get to show that oil and gas is manipulating.
Well, now, Josh, hold on. We're not accusing the Texas Tribune of being a left-leaning newspaper, are we? Because that makes us right-wing by definition. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, well, they're certainly as an aside, I think anytime there's opportunity to show that oil and gas industry is using its capital in order to retain its profitability, they're always going to be suspicious of anything that they do.
Well, and here's the real thing. Let's just say that it is all cronyism, which probably it is. And you put oil and gas people on there. Okay, good for them. The pressure that's on our ERCOT and everyone else involved, Railroad Commission, everyone, it doesn't really matter, the governor's office, the next winter storm that happens, if we have the same thing that happened last year happen again, you're going to get blasted. So, if it's the oil and gas people, if it's the renewable people, if it's Beto in office, if it's Abbott in office, it doesn't matter. Whoever is in office in the next time we have one of these storms, if we crash again, you're getting taken to the woodshed by the public opinion. So be careful what you wish for. So if it's straight cronyism and people aren't really qualified for these jobs, they're going to pay a severe price in the public opinion arena, potentially in the business arena. So I think that's really the story here is that if it is cronyism, then guess what? You better be doing your job, because if we have another crazy storm here in a few months, which I don't think we will, but if we do, be prepared. You're going to get crushed, right? So there's no excuse in the near future. And if we have one in 2023, 2024, 2025, if this happens the next 3, 5, 10 years, we're going to pull up all these old articles and say, we told you, we warned you, you should have known. So if it is straight cronyism, there's no qualifications happening, then get ready, because you've walked into the lion's den. And so keep that. That's the thing that I would be concerned about, is that if you're taking these positions, then be prepared to be blasted. Like you don't get the grace period anymore, right? Now, The flip side is it could be that the Texas Oil and Gas Association believes that these are the most qualified people, right? So it doesn't, just because it's a secret list and it's underhanded, doesn't mean that they can't believe it's the right people for the job.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, if these are the most qualified people to do it, I mean, that may have been why they were recommended.
Right. So let's think about like this. Let's say that you're working for a company and you need a service done. You could take it out to bid, to anyone to bid on, or you could call the vendor that you're the most comfortable with, the one that you feel is the most qualified, and you could bring them in. Now, if your buddy needs someone, you could just recommend them. So people recommending and stuff isn't always nefarious. In this case, it could be. I don't know. We got a comment here from Joe. Joe says, even if fossil fuel is considered to be the fallback resource to support the grid, it still has an important part to play. It seems to make sense that fossil fuel representatives would be part of the machination. I can't speak, Josh. I'm pulling. Hold on, need some water here. I pulled a Josh and I had to reboot. My tongue got dry. can't say the word.
Uncle Joe.
Right. Yeah. Thanks, Joe, for using the big words on the podcast. We don't say words over 4 letters on this show, Joe. Yeah. So I don't think there's a problem with oil and gas people being on there. Maybe it is cronyism, maybe not. But cronyism is only viewed negatively when the results turn out poorly, right? It's like nepotism. If you have a business and you let your son or daughter or nephew or whatever come in and run it and they're successful, no one cares. If the business fails, that's when people care. So in this case, I don't know if these people are qualified or not, nor does a Texas Tribune. So
Yeah. I mean, well,
we're gonna take them to the woodshed. They screw it up. Just be prepared. We can take the Texas Oil and Gas Association for nominating them. We can take the folks for taking it. Everyone's in the woodshed because we're not right wing podcasts. So because we're gonna blast them. But you're right, Joe. They should be a part of the discussion. Also, Texas Tribune. I feel like you owe us an apology. We're the most influential. So
we have the ear of the president.
Yeah, if you could get a correction on your website, we'd appreciate that.
So CNBC had an article that came out this morning. Oil prices on the march again in tight market. U.S. crude at 7-year high. Looking at oil prices, Ryan, WTI is at 84.56. Brent is at 86. Yeah, it's up. It's up this morning. So I think there was rig count actually dropped this past week, and prices started to drop a little bit, and all of a sudden things turned around. And the prices are just continuing to move. I mean, it's thinking you're going to have $100 a barrel by end of the year is really not far fetched anymore.
Yeah, I mean, so you're less than $4 for Brent to cap to cross the $90 threshold. Natural gas is at $5.76. I mean, it's crazy, right? And so, what can be done to stop it at this point? This late in the year from the U.S. producers, not much. And I read DRW arguing this morning that, by and large, his thesis is that the good acreage to drill has already been purchased, minus a few exceptions. So that would be interesting to see if that thesis holds true, which I think he's. There are definitely some other smart people like him that hold to that thesis. But if that thesis is true, then the U.S. production on some level is going to be. I don't know if cap's the right word, but it hits the ceiling. So, what will OPEC do? I don't know. If I'm OPEC, and this is the thing, like when you say OPEC, there's many members to OPEC, right? And so, if you're Nigeria, their break even. The last time I looked at Nigeria's break even is like $160 a barrel. How they view oil prices is a little bit different than the Saudis.
Yeah.
Clay, who am I? I don't know, Clay. Who am I? Why is Clay getting philosophical on this podcast? So we are live on LinkedIn. Clay's asking, who are you? I don't know if that's to me, to Josh, or to Joe, but I don't want to contemplate that on this podcast, Clay. We can say that for another time. Uh-oh. Look who's in the back green room. We've got a guest in the green room here, Josh. Let's bring him on to the big screen. Oh, look, there he is.
Amanda.
I would like to bring you on, but you've been going on the national media here lately. So can you introduce yourself for our humble audience?
Hi, good afternoon, morning. My name's Ray RT Trevino with Pecos Country Operating here in Fort Worth, Texas.
And what's it like to be an international star now? Because I don't know if for our listeners who don't know, RT is what I call him. RT's been on like every Fox affiliate in the world, and even some MSNBC affiliates as well, I believe. So he goes right and left. This RT. Thank you for coming on a alleged right wing talk show. So we thank you for that. But you are a celebrity now. So what's it like? And also,
no celebrity.
You're a celebrity because you came on this podcast.
First of all, this was the first place, so you always got to go back to the roots, right? Always back. Josh, how are you, sir?
Doing good, sir. Glad to have you on this morning.
Oh, good to be on with you guys. Get some good old fashioned down and dirty talk today. I tell you what.
Get deep in that old stuff right there, huh, brother? All right, let's get it.
I've had an opportunity to be on a couple of radio stations, all AM so far, nothing FM, just all the AM.
Yeah, they call it FM yet.
We're going to keep it real, okay, on the Texas Oil and Gas Podcast.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Oh, RT, my man, we are just talking about oil prices when you came on. Brent's at 86 and change, WTI 84, nat gas 576. I mean, where are we heading with this stuff?
We're headed up. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about that. We are still headed up.
How high?
You know, that is really anyone's guess. I would say.
I know. We know that. That's why we're asking you. What is your guess? Listen. This will be recorded and played on FM stations around the country. So please get it right.
Oh man, you guys are terrible. Get it right. We are definitely going to continue this trend. I mean, like you just said, we are flirting with WTI at $85 oil today. We're flirting again with $6 natural gas here in America. So we are only going to continue to go up. The question is how fast. I think we are headed towards $100 oil. The question is it going to be this quarter or is it going to be first quarter of 2022? But gas prices at the pump will stay the same, possibly just a little bit higher over the next quarter due to the holiday breaks. We got Thanksgiving coming up. Hopefully Americans will be out on the road for that. And, of course, for Christmas, hopefully Americans will get out of their bunkers, their basements, and go visit friends and family in a safe way for the holiday season.
Yeah. So question, when you say that, I was talking to a group this morning, and they said their thesis is they're wanting to get into the carbon credit business because they feel like it's here to stay. And we've talked about in the show numerous times that producers are having trouble raising capital, and that their thesis is if you're a producer, you're trying to raise capital, you should get into the ESG movement now, carbon credit, whatever, so that you can help attract investors. What is your thoughts on that? Do you think that would actually help bring capital back into the industry, or is it just going to take high prices to get people to kind of put their ESG stuff to the side?
I think it's because of all the investment dollars that have moved to the ESG that we have high oil prices right now. Look, there's nothing wrong with multiple baskets of investments, but when you take 100% of your oil energy investments out and put those 100% into ESG investments, that's going to hinder, obviously, the oil. And so that's where we're at right now, is that we are finding that we are not seeing the investment dollars in oil and gas right now to produce new oil. And because of that, that is why we see these prices that we do. Don't get me started on the administration right now. We can come back to that. But look, ESG for the future, I get it. I understand it. But there's nothing in the ESG world today that can flip a switch and take over the oil and gas sector of providing energy to the world, not just the United States. So why don't we do something different? Let's start with like a 20-80 or 70-30 split, and slowly over the next 10 years, transition all your investment dollars into something else. And plus, hopefully by then, I would think some form of ESG would be a proven, real additional energy source every day.
It's interesting, RT. We actually had somebody on last week that talked about taking the carbon dioxide that is generated from these wells and determining ways to feed it into greenhouses to grow food and trees. And it was an interesting concept where they were trying to figure out ways, rather than seeing it as a liability, try to figure out how to utilize it for other uses, which was pretty interesting. I think at some point in the next 50 years, there's probably going to be some discoveries where you could take what we call byproducts that are harmful and actually use them for some purpose, repurpose them for something that won't be harmful to the environment, but still be beneficial. And I think that's what a lot of these companies are shooting for. Shell, people that are moving toward this ESG green. The issue, I think, that's more concerning is that we need oil to get there. We need fossil fuels to get there. If it's going to take 15, 20 years. In your opinion, how do you think the media treats the fact that oil is the absolutely necessary step to getting to the green that we need to try to arrive at. A lot of people seem to ignore the fact that oil is a necessary commodity in order for us to achieve any of these ideals that we have.
Absolutely. I get a kick out of seeing pictures of people protesting against fossil fuels while holding plastic bottles to drink their water, or cardboard that they hold up, or the pens that they write, with the Sharpies. And it's like all that is provided by some form of a fossil fuel right now, by the oil and gas industry. There's nothing that we make almost that doesn't come from oil and gas in some form or fashion. I know that some markets are moving away, like the beauty industry. They have some things that are going away. So I'm not trying to say all, but when you see photos like that of plastic bottles, pins, people wearing raincoats that are made from that one brand that was trying to denounce oil and gas.
Yeah.
It cracks me up. Patagonia is another good one. They do these big, massive protests on the deep oil rigs, and they got kayaks out the wazoo out there. And it's like, guys, that is a plastic that was made from oil. Come on, let's think about this. But to get back to it right now, once again, oil is big and bad because of the price of oil. And that's not just the case. We need the oil to get to the next level, like you just said, Josh. Hey, we have to use the oil now to get to where we want to go. One thing my father always says is use the things you have to get the things you want. So that being said, hey, if you have all these things right now, it's like we can't move from A to B without fossil fuel. So if it's going to take 20 to 30 years to transition, we have to start it now. But that doesn't mean we flip the light switch off and shut off oil today, and these ESGs we're going to take over tomorrow.
One more, RT. So last week there was an article where I think it was a few weeks ago. Kind of give you the whole picture. A few weeks ago, Biden was encouraging the Saudis to increase production to lower gas prices. Recently, there was some information where there were moves where I guess the administration was encouraging Texans to produce more. Now that narrative have shifted a good bit because they ban lease drilling on federal lands. There's been some moves they made to make it more difficult. From your perspective, have you seen any of those? Have you seen anything loosening up just from an administrative standpoint, or is there a longer delay between them wanting to lower gas prices and you actually feeling the benefit of that?
I tell you what, this administration needs to get in front of the camera and say, drill, baby, drill here in the United States. That will change the dynamic completely. I don't know the last time you gentlemen have been in Midland, but when you go there, last time in 2014, 2013, when we had $85 oil, we were drilling tremendously. And this time around, you still don't see the jobs that we had back then. You're not seeing the workload. And why is that? Because of what you just said, that this administration has that restraint on us right now. And we just do not know what's going to happen next. A great example is if you've got the jump rope, you got the two people holding the jump ropes. We're right here just waiting to jump into it. Like, we are ready to go. The oil and gas industry is ready to drill, to open up. But no, this administration, he just said it last week also in his CNN town hall that we're still at the mercy of OPEC and Saudi Arabia because of these high gas prices and these high oil prices. Well, the only way right now, they have no competition, and the great state of Texas is their competition. And right now, this administration is holding us back from competing to bring down the price of oil.
Y'all went from like, hey, let's get off oil and gas in 10 to 20 years to Joe Biden's the worst. So the reviewers will not know if we're a right-wing show or a left-wing show. And I'm not very happy about that. I want us to be identified as something so people can pound on us. Yes, if North Face could send us checks, that would be great, to the commenter there. RT, so you mentioned drilling. We were talking about this right before you got on. DRW put a post on LinkedIn saying that his thesis is that, or his opinion maybe, is that all of the good acreage is already bought up. So it's already being owned and potentially operated, or it's under lease. What are your thoughts on that? Because if that is true, then there is only a kind of a limit, a ceiling to how much more drilling we can do.
I think they've been saying that now for the last 30 or 40 years, that all the good minerals are bought, all the leases are already held by production. I mean, just a year and a half ago, they found that new field down near South Texas that had several million barrels. I know that there's still some other ones out there. So, the jury is still out on that. I mean, you look at where we've come and where we've gone. People said that West Texas was dead in the 50s. Then people said that it was going to be over in the 80s. And, well, here we are in the 2000s, still drill, baby, drill, all throughout West Texas and into New Mexico on what we can as far as that goes. So I think the jury's still out on whether or not all the best places have been proven.
So let's talk about prices for a second. We talk about oil prices, gas prices, but talk about service prices. What are you guys seeing? Are service prices up? It seems like you hear some service folks who are kind of complaining that they can't really raise their rates. If you're an operator, obviously that's good for you. But and then on top of that, not only service prices, but labor. Is the industry able to fill the jobs it needs?
Unfortunately, they are able to fill the good oil field working jobs because those men and women know how hard it is to work, and they're not afraid to turn a wrench and maybe get a little sweat on their forehead. So in that case, there's no issue there. Now, some of the other jobs that are inside, those are the ones where we're having a tough time trying to fill those because people don't want to go back to work with the way things are still set up as far as people getting paid the extra amounts of money. Moving back, yes, no, being an operator right now is the most interesting and greatest time. Some prices have surged. Metal casing has gone up tremendously in the last 6 months. So has the price to actually drill has gone up. But some of those service prices have actually come down or maybe stayed about the same because I'll say that they're in that same jump rope. They're trying to just see what's going to happen. And if service company A hasn't changed, and then why would service company B change? And so there's a big hold there right now on some of the pricing when it comes to the actual service companies and their hourly pay and charge and things like that.
So what you're telling us is that operators should be reporting massive profits. Continue. No.
What's going on? The casing prices have, and steel has gone up so much that's kind of what's taking the difference in that.
Really?
Yes.
Now, the steel price. We're going to talk about Trump and the tariffs, or are we going to ignore that? I don't know. We might be accused of not being a right.
I don't know. You are supposedly a right wing show.
We might. You might get in trouble if we bring that up. That came back from there. But,
yeah, I will say this. The other day, I went and filled up my pickup truck, and somebody was just complaining next to it, and I said the same thing. I'm sure y'all have heard. I should go for some mean tweets and some cheap gas right about now. So,
if folks would have voted for me, they wouldn't have had mean tweets, and they would have cheap gas. You could have gotten the best of both worlds. You could have gotten it right here. Ryan Ray 2024. Don't forget, it's coming like a windstorm.
Ryan, we've talked about this in the past, and I think that it's time for the great state of Texas to have an individual like you represent.
It's past time. Let's be honest. It's way past time. If you thought Trump got in trouble, let me tell you something. Let's take a 30-second aside. My day one promise to all voters is I would declassify. I would actually declassify. And I'd bring your boy Snowden back. I'd fly over to pick him up with Putin. Okay, I'd fly over there. We'd bring him back. Declassify. Oh, it would be a party. Like they have those big galas and those parties. We wouldn't do none of that. We'd just be having a declassified party on Zoom or on YouTube, just streaming that baby, reading the documents, going, "Oh my, did they really?" That would be day one. So just saying. I told someone on Twitter the other day, I can't promise cheaper gas prices because the economy would be humming at a rate never seen before that, I don't know if we can actually keep up. So just folks, just saying, boy, 2024 right here.
Josh, can we confirm or even deny that we just heard what we just heard?
Well, we heard it. We heard it,
Okay.
and I can tell you there was at least one vote for Ryan for president last year. So
There's at least one. Yeah. So, people say you're this or you're that. No, I'm a meist. I'm a meist. Okay. I love me some me. I voted for me in 2020. I didn't vote for them two bums. I voted for the best and most qualified person I know. So that's what you're supposed to do as an American, I think.
Well, there you
Why
go.
you two didn't do that, or wherever it is on the screen here, is a disgrace to America, Texas, and the universe. But whatever.
Well, how about that oil and gas, huh?
Okay. All right, RT. We'll get you out of here. Tell people where they can find you. Obviously, you're all over the talk show circuit now. You're going on The View, I think, in a few weeks. Rachel Maddow, where else can they find you?
You are terrible, Ryan Ray. No, guys, if anybody has any questions, you can find me at Pecos Country Operating. That's pcoperating.com, pecoscountryenergy.com. We're just here in Fort Worth doing our best to provide oil to help the Americans to lower the gas prices at the pump the best we can. I say, Josh, Ryan, thank you guys so much for having me back on to this morning.
Well, it's good that you step back down to us after you're a big timer, so we appreciate
it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Take care, bud.
Bye.
All right, Mr. Shelton. Anything in the roundup for us today?
One article: Eagle Claw to combine with Apache's Altus Midstream in an all-stock transaction. We'll be linking that in the show notes if you want to follow up on that. Some midstream movement. There's another article, Ryan. This one is not something that I want to cover as much, something just as a reference. It's an article from Market Watch. Major U.S. banks continue to finance oil and gas industry, study says. It goes over some of the major banks and some of the investments they've made since 2015, which is the Paris Agreement. I don't know if this actually looks at it since the pandemic. So that would be the question for me, or like slightly before the pandemic, to see, not necessarily looking at 2015, looking at it from like 2019 to now would be more interesting. But it's an interesting article if you want to take a look at it.
Okay. And we will link to, again, our sponsor in the show notes. If you're looking for wholesale energy, be sure to check them out. And with that, Josh, we'll be back next week.